Every winter, Japanese mechanics see the same frustrating situation again and again, drivers stranded in freezing temperatures because they trusted the wrong battery. The engine clicks, the dashboard lights flicker, and suddenly a normal morning turns into a stressful roadside problem. What most drivers never realize is that the battery they trusted looked powerful on the label, but failed in the exact conditions that matter most. Today I'm going to show you exactly which batteries Japanese mechanics in real Tokyo workshops trust with their own cars, and which ones they quietly warn drivers to avoid. You buy a car battery the same way almost everyone does. The old one dies, you drive to the nearest auto store, and the person behind the counter points to the good one. You see a big cold cranking amps number printed on the label, maybe a long warranty, and that feels convincing enough. You pay somewhere between $150 and $300, install it, and drive away assuming you're protected for the next few years. But here's the truth most drivers never discover. The number printed in huge bold letters, cold cranking amps, is not what determines whether your car actually starts during brutal winter mornings. Japanese mechanics who deal with cold weather failures already know this. The batteries that survive harsh winters often aren't the ones with the highest CCA numbers. They're the ones with deeper reserve capacity and stronger internal construction. To understand why, mechanics in several Tokyo workshops compared how different batteries behave in real daily use. Same vehicles, same stop and go driving patterns, same cold mornings. Over time, a clear pattern appeared. Some batteries looked strong on paper, but weakened surprisingly fast. Others kept starting engines long after the first group began failing. The difference came down to a hidden specification most drivers rarely check. Let's start with a battery that many mechanics consider a balanced option, the AC Delco Professional series. Japanese mechanics in Tokyo workshops tested this battery in daily, driven vehicles, and here's what they found. It doesn't chase flashy marketing numbers. Instead, it focuses on balanced performance between starting power and reserve capacity. On paper, it typically delivers around 700 cold cranking amps and more than 100 minutes of reserve capacity. Most drivers only notice the CCA number, but experienced technicians immediately look at the reserve capacity rating instead. That number tells you how long the battery can continue delivering electricity when the alternator isn't helping. Here's a simple example that explains why this matters. Imagine it's a freezing winter morning. Your car sat outside overnight in cold temperatures. When you start the engine, the battery suddenly has to power the starter motor, fuel pump, ignition system, and multiple electronic systems all at once. Cold temperatures already slow the battery's internal chemistry, reducing available power. A battery with deeper reserve capacity keeps voltage stable during that heavy demand. Japanese mechanics noticed that this balanced design often allows mid-range batteries like this one to survive longer than expected. They don't always deliver the biggest numbers on the label, but they provide stable voltage during real-world driving conditions. But the next battery reveals how marketing and reputation can sometimes hide weaknesses. The Optima YellowTop has been a popular choice among enthusiasts for years. The distinctive yellow case and spiral cell design make it look advanced and durable. Many drivers assume that unique design automatically means superior performance. However, in Japan, this battery is considered unreliable for certain winter conditions, and here's why. Japanese mechanics who tested it in daily commuter vehicles noticed that the battery performs strongly during its early life. Cold starts feel powerful and responsive, but after extended use, especially in cars that drive short distances every day, voltage stability begins to decline. The engine still starts, but the cranking speed gradually becomes slower over time. Most drivers miss that warning sign. Then one cold morning, the battery struggles much harder than expected. The starter motor turns slowly. Sometimes the engine barely fires at all. Mechanics see this pattern frequently because the battery chemistry gradually weakens from a hidden enemy sulfation. Every time you start your car, the battery releases stored energy. When the alternator recharges it during driving, most of that chemical reaction reverses. But if the battery never fully recharges, which often happens when people drive short distances, tiny sulfate crystals begin forming on the internal plates. At first, these crystals dissolve during charging. Over time, they harden and block the chemical reaction that stores electricity. Once heavy sulfation develops, the battery loses capacity little by little until cold weather finally exposes the weakness. Now, let's talk about another widely recognized name: Interstate. Japanese mechanics in Tokyo workshops tested this battery as well, and their feedback was consistent. Interstate batteries are popular because they're widely available and reasonably priced. Many repair shops install them because they're easy to source quickly when a driver needs an emergency replacement. Most models deliver around 650 cold cranking amps with moderate reserve capacity. For many drivers, they work perfectly fine during the first year or two. The challenge appears when harsh winter conditions push the battery close to its limits. Cold weather slows down chemical reactions inside the battery. That means less available power for starting the engine. If reserve capacity is limited, voltage can drop sharply during the first crank attempt. This leads to the situation every driver dreads. You wake up early for work. You turn the key or press the start button, and instead of hearing the engine start, you hear rapid clicking sounds. The dashboard lights flicker. Suddenly, your morning routine turns into a stressful problem. Mechanics see this exact scenario every winter because drivers rarely evaluate long-term durability when choosing a replacement battery. Before we move on, here's something most drivers never realize. A huge number of people replace their car battery far more often than they actually need to. Not because the battery was bad, but because nobody ever explained how batteries really fail over time. That's exactly why this channel exists. We break down the real mechanical reasons behind common car problems so you can avoid expensive mistakes and keep your car running reliably. So if you enjoy learning the practical tricks real mechanics use every day, consider subscribing to the channel. Because the next battery on this list reveals a mistake thousands of drivers make without realizing it. Now let's examine a battery brand with a long reputation: Die-Hard. Japanese mechanics tested this battery in several commuter vehicles, and the early performance impressed them. The specifications look strong, with around 730 cold cranking amps and respectable reserve capacity. During the first winter, most vehicles started easily even during colder mornings. But after extended use, another pattern appeared. Vehicles that mostly drove short city trips experienced faster battery aging. The alternator simply didn't have enough time to fully recharge the battery between starts. This leads to a hidden cycle that damages many batteries. The engine starts. The battery discharges energy. The car drives for only 10 minutes before stopping again. The alternator never completely restores the lost charge. Over weeks and months, the battery remains slightly undercharged. That partial charge state slowly weakens internal chemistry and accelerates sulfation buildup. Japanese mechanics often explain it this way: a battery that never fully recharges slowly suffocates from the inside. Now we come to the battery that consistently impressed mechanics during long-term durability testing: the Odyssey Extreme series. Japanese mechanics NEVR recommend cheap batteries for harsh winters, and this is the reason. Odyssey batteries focus heavily on reserve capacity and strong internal construction. Many models deliver around 135 minutes of reserve capacity, which is significantly higher than many mainstream alternatives. That deeper energy reserve allows the battery to maintain stable voltage even when partially discharged. The internal plates are also thicker and built using higher quality materials. This slows down the chemical wear that usually shortens battery lifespan. Here's a situation that shows why that matters. Imagine leaving your car parked at the airport for a week during winter. Even when the car is off, small electronics continue using electricity. Security systems, memory circuits, and sensors slowly drain the battery. When you return and try to start the engine, a battery with limited reserve capacity may already be close to empty. That's when drivers discover the car won't start. High reserve batteries tolerate these situations much better because they store more usable energy. Another important factor mechanics emphasize is driving style. Cars driven mostly in cities often destroy batteries faster than vehicles used for longer highway trips. Short journeys rarely allow the alternator to recharge the battery completely. Highway driving gives the charging system enough time to restore full capacity. Japanese mechanics often recommend a simple expert trick to protect batteries from this problem. If your car sits unused for long periods or you mostly drive short distances, use a smart battery maintainer occasionally. These devices slowly charge the battery and maintain ideal voltage without overcharging it. That prevents sulfation buildup and can dramatically extend battery life. Another useful habit is checking battery voltage periodically with a simple multimeter. A healthy fully charged battery should measure about 12.6 volts with the engine off. If it frequently drops below around 12.2 volts, the battery is spending too much time partially discharged. That condition accelerates internal damage. Here's another industry fact that surprises many drivers. Despite the huge number of brands on store shelves, most car batteries are produced by only a few large manufacturers. These companies build batteries for many different labels using slightly different materials and specifications. Two batteries that appear completely unrelated may actually come from the same factory. The real differences often involve plate thickness, separator quality, and construction standards rather than the brand printed on the label. Dealership pricing adds another layer of confusion. When drivers visit a dealership service department with a dead battery, they are often offered a premium replacement option at a much higher price. Dealerships frequently recommend expensive batteries because profit margins are larger. Independent mechanics often install equally capable batteries for significantly less money. After years of mechanic feedback and real-world testing, one lesson becomes very clear. The battery that survives winter isn't usually the one with the biggest cold cranking amps number printed on the label. The batteries that last the longest typically share three important characteristics: strong internal construction, higher reserve capacity, and proper charging habits from the driver. If you remember those principles when buying your next battery, you dramatically reduce the chance of hearing that dreaded clicking sound on a freezing morning. Japanese mechanics have one rule about batteries: never buy based on price alone. Buy based on reserve capacity. And now you know exactly which batteries pass that test. If this video helped you understand how to choose a better battery, make sure to like the video and share it with someone who owns a car. Subscribe for more car maintenance secrets and expert tips that can save you money and prevent breakdowns. And before you go, comment below with the country you're watching from and tell me the next car topic you want me to cover. I read every comment, and your suggestions help shape future videos. See you in the next one.